everybody. This is Kaipacha with the weekly Paleo report for August 14th of 2024. I feel a bad moon arising. I feel trouble on the way. The rock cliff. There's the top of it up there. And then it comes down and splash. Can't believe how much beauty I am surrounded with in this world. Oh, it's amazing. What a dramatic place to live. Oh man, there are so many aspects that I don't want to spend the whole time on it. If you know astrology, look at that chart at the beginning. We have a T-square happening. Venus has moved into Virgo, into an opposition with Saturn, squaring Jupiter, which is also conjunct Mars. This is called a T-square in astrology, a tremendous amount of tension, like a rubber band, like a slingshot that needs to be released. Mars-Jupiter is the stone. Venus-Saturn is the slingshot. And that Mars-Jupiter needs to shoot from Gemini to its opposition up there in Sagittarius. If you know astrology, you know what that indicates. Expansion. Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius. Mars, actively, Jupiter expanding, breaking free, breaking out, breaking loose, growing. That's what the mantra is about. That's what this week is about, and it's not just this week. This is a part of a bigger process of expanding out of the old and into the new. So, you know, the exact dates, Mars is exactly conjunct Jupiter today as I am speaking. Tomorrow and Friday, if you're in the U.S., it squares Saturn. Mars squares Saturn. Jupiter comes into exact square with Saturn on Monday. But, you know, these are this is like to the minute. You know, not to the degree, you know, but you know, like to the minute, even to the second. I mean, and it is within seconds. They are all at the same 17th degree. I will read the Sabian symbol for the 18th degree of Venus, but you know, we have to go back, you know, a little farther. But this is also happening what? You know, the temperature's rising, the full moon is rising, it's getting fuller, it's waxing. We have the exact full moon next Monday at 27 degrees 15 minutes of Aquarius, opposite the sun at 27 degrees 15 minutes of Leo, which is conjunct Mercury. Not only conjunct Mercury, but Sun and Mercury are square to Uranus. Oh my God. If the Venus, Saturn, Jupiter T-square wasn't enough, we've got a Sun-Mercury square Uranus, which is even more radical, extreme, and intense. Holy shit. So, Sun-Mercury squares Uranus on Sunday and into Monday. So this weekend, and, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say exactly what I think is coming up, but the shit is going to hit the frickin' fan in very many different ways. And it's not just collective. Yes, there can be riots and, you know, upsets, you know, in different places around the world. But it's personal. Venus, Mars. Yeah, Venus squares Mars. You know, Venus opposes Saturn exactly on Monday. And, you know, she comes into, you know, this square with Mars and Jupiter also. That's going to go into next week. So yeah, right now the moon's in Sag. She's moving into Capricorn on Thursday. Going to hit Pluto by the time she goes into Aquarius on Saturday. And then we got that full moon. She's coming around. She doesn't move into Pisces until Monday. Let me find a place with a nice backdrop and speak to you in English instead of astrobabble about what this all indicates to me. My fellow humans, I come to you today with a heavy heart. Some of you who are old enough to remember President Nixon upon his resignation with Saturn going through his 10th house. Yes, with the impeachment process going on, he said, "My fellow Americans, I come to you today with a heavy heart." Saturn is heavy. Venus rules the heart, along with Leo, the sun in Leo, the heart chakra. And what do I have here today but the song for this week is Funeral for a Friend. Love lies bleeding in my hand. It's a classic. There are many songs that I thought of for today. Obviously, the dark black moon horizon, and you can't always get what you want. Whatever. There's lots of different music out there, and I'm sure a lot of it is newer than the old stuff that I am remembering. But c'est la vie, such is life. What is the grieving? What is the process? Reading this mantra, what can I say? Pain. It hurts to remain. It hurts to move on. It hurts to let go. Is there a life without pain on planet Earth? No one that I know of. And my teacher, Jeffrey Wolf Green, talks about the source of all pain is the resistance to evolution, the resistance to growth and expansion. Life, just like this river, is always moving on, returning to the ocean of oneness. And it's got to break through the rocks, the valleys. It cuts gorges and canyons, but it is relentless. The river of life, it relentlessly moves us on. And it is natural. I'm going to say it's natural. I'm going to say it's, moon in Cancer, moon, 4th house, is comfort. Venus, Venus, the ruler of Taurus, did you see that? Did you see that butterfly? They're all over the place. The monarchs, I believe, yeah? With the purple wings. Wow. Anyway, I get distracted. Mother Nature is so freaking beautiful. Thank God. But here, where I was this river keeps moving. The seasons keep changing. Right? The plants keep growing. Our bodies keep growing. And there are growing pains. And the resistance to change is natural and it's normal. And by golly, you can't hold it against anybody. Let's not judge or, condemn or whatever. It's like, this job provided security. Okay, this relationship provided me some comfort and security. A sense of meaning and purpose. This path. This home, this family, this country. At one point in my process, supported me. Like a plant in a pot. It gets root bound. You know that, yeah, that term, root bound. The plant is growing, the roots are expanding, and boom, they hit the pot. And they are constricted. Saturn. Yeah, they are held. So this is Jupiter squaring Saturn. The Jupiter-Mars wants to grow, wants to expand. And it hits the limitations, Saturn, of the pot. Now this can happen collectively, particularly with Saturn in Pisces. This is the end of patriarchy. This is the end of old, structures, forms, external authorities, institutions. These are all Saturn. Moving through Pisces, dissolving, ending. Yeah, their weaknesses, they're just crumbling before our very eyes. And the population, the future, wants to grow and expand. And what's with these old laws, rules, and limitations? They're no longer appropriate for the future that wants to be birthed. This reminds me when I remember when I used to, be teaching at the school, as particularly sixth graders, right when puberty hits. These kids, especially the boys playing basketball, they would be in pain. Their bones, ruled by Saturn, were growing faster than the tendons and the ligaments and the muscles and everything could, particularly knee problems. Saturn rules, Capricorn rules the knees. The knees are the heart. Yeah, you have to have good knees. Knees provide the circulation. It's like, walking the path with the heart. So knee problems is you can be on the wrong path or not walking or not whatever. Anyway, I don't want to go too far with all this. I could talk for ages. There's so much going on. And I just want to liken it to, there is winter where it's hard, it's cold, it's dark, and we are chilled and we are freezing to the bone. And you better have a coat and a hat or you'll die in the outdoors. Yeah? I mean, nature can be cruel. And then there is spring. And things begin to warm up and seeds are planted. And then there is summer, Leo, in the northern hemisphere. Yeah, the corn grows to its biggest. It's just before the harvest. It's like bursting out of its shucks. Yeah? Preparing for Virgo. That has to shuck the corn. Yeah, and harvest. So we're at this point. Mars, Jupiter, maximum expansion. And our roots are like growing, and our plant is aching to grow. And whatever is holding us back. And here I liken it, and you have to maybe go back to childhood, But I'm still in a place of, doggone it, I hate to get rid of my old shoes. Oh my God. I'm playing pickleball the other, last month or whatever, man, and the heel starts flapping off of my gym shoes, right? And of course they're 10 years old, and I'm like, oh man, I got some Gorilla Glue, and I glued that sole back onto the shoe. These are my gym shoes. I've had these forever. I love these shoes. And I'm not wasting. They're still good. I'm going to glue them back together. Well, that lasted for about 3 more games the next week, the next couple of weeks, until what? flap, 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 man. The heels, the soul is coming off again. God damn it. I surrendered. I gave up my old shoes. And then what? You get a new pair of shoes. And they're not comfortable. They don't fit. They're tight. They're, like leather. Think of boots, like a pair of knee-high boots. Woo-hoo-hoo. Or a pair of cowboy boots, man. I mean, you gotta walk a long way to break in those leather boots. And you could get blisters. You go hiking too soon with a new pair of hiking boots and you'll get blisters. So it's like, you're in this place. You can liken this shoes to a relationship, to a job, to a vocation. Now, I was an electronics engineer for years, right? That was my shoes. I had to let go of those shoes. Sometimes you got to go barefoot for a little while. I become a teacher. Then I go into astrology. I mean, life, expansion, evolution has to do with letting go. And it is painful. I'm sorry. The song for this week is, A Funeral for a Friend. Love Lies Bleeding. It hurts. This can hurt. And there can be anger. Mars square Saturn. Right? It's not just Jupiter square Saturn. Mars is square Saturn. Ah, dang it. Dang it. They ought to take a rope and hang it higher than the highest tree. Woman, won't you wait for me? That's a very old song. Anyway. If we want to understand the context of this transformation, of this process, we need to go back to the conjunctions. And I went back, to the conjunctions. And this is the other thing. So we can read the news, and we can see that there is, there's rebellion, there's awakening happening. This full moon's happening right at the Democratic National Convention. If we look at politics, if we look at what's going on in the UK, if we look at what's happening in Miramar, places that are not even, in the mainstream media, there is upset and challenge going on worldwide. As the old breaks free from, as the new breaks free from the old. Mars, Jupiter breaking free from Saturn. Venus breaking free from Saturn. So Venus, we have to go back. We got to go back to February 22nd. Oh, so what I wanted to say was, Jupiter, Saturn, that's true for everybody. This is a worldwide condition. Jupiter, Saturn is, it's not so personal. But now Venus is involved. And it gets personal. And the sun is in Leo. Very personal. Right? North Node in Aries. Personal. I mean, you get... So I go back. February 22nd, Venus was conjunct Mars in the 7th degree of Pisces. Yeah? And you can probably go back to that Paleo report, and I'm sure that I talked about it. I'm sure I probably read this Sabian symbol. Illumined by a shaft of light, a large cross lies on rocks, surrounded by sea mist. The keynote is the spiritual blessing, which strengthens individuals who, happen what may, stand uncompromisingly for their own truth. People who do not depend upon collective values, traditions, or support, but seek at any cost to be true to their individual self and destiny, almost inevitably face some kind of crucifixion. They are sustained only by the power within them, to which light above answers. The symbol tells us, in quotes, "Be true to thine own self, and in the midst of outer confusion displayed by those surrounding you, you will realize what you really are as an individual, a son or daughter of God." Venus conjunct Mars in the spiritual sign of Pisces last February. This need to be true to ourself, to our own rhythm, to our own growth, to our own destiny, leads us into relationship, leads us into supporting structures like flower pots for certain periods of time until our personal rhythm of growth, our personal need for complete self-expression, Sun in Leo, for the process of individuation, of expressing our unique genius. Full moon in Aquarius. We got to be taken out of that pot. We got to let go of those old shoes that are too small. We've got to risk. We've got to come out of our comfort, our comfortable shoes, our comfortable pots, our comfortable ruts. And Mars Jupiter is calling us forward. Into the full moon in Aquarius is the unknown. Letting go of the known, letting go of the security, letting go of the past. And it hurts. You pull that plant out of that pot. You put on that new pair of boots. Ouch. This doesn't feel good. Does that mean I should go back? Does that mean I made a mistake? Does that mean I'm doing the wrong thing? Oh, it hurts. That must mean that there's something wrong. Maybe, I don't want to mess it up anymore. I don't want any more pain. I'm going to go back to the harbor. I'm going to go back to, I'm going to tie myself up to the dock where it's safe. I'm not going on the journey. I'm not going to reach some future, distant, far off destination. No. I'm going to completely resist the process. And that's going to freaking hurt. Because then you sit in your limited flower pot in your old shoes that are falling apart. And you lose. You lose your power. You lose your inspiration. You lose your meaning. You lose your purpose. You're defeated. You fall into the wound of Chiron in Aries. Powerlessness. Impotence. And you feel your own weakness. And you feel like a failure. And that hurts. So, yeah, we got choices. Saturn is decision time. Saturn is choice time. Mars square Saturn, Jupiter square Saturn, Venus opposite Saturn. It's time to decide. Saturn is goals, contracts, commitments, and Jupiter is change. Gemini, Mars, Jupiter, and Gemini, changing goals. I want a different outcome. Or maybe it is even that you have successfully attained your goal that you set back in February, or back, 28 years ago when Saturn was in Pisces, or, we set goals when we were kids. I want to be a fireman. Whatever. Well, we reach these goals. And that's, we think that a goal is an end. We think we're going to reach heaven, or we're going to reach nirvana, or we're going to reach some permanent state of samadhi. Hell no. No sooner do you reach a point of, an ayahuasca journey of enlightenment, okay, then the next day you crash. The next week, the next month, the next year, you're back to implement the vision, to manifest the dream. No. It's not over till the fat lady sings. It's not over till you're dead. It's not over. As long as life in this river is flowing on, okay, is that water holding on to anything? Nope. It may get stuck in an eddy for a little while, but yeah, with the next rain, or there's always some catalyst of change. And Uranus is this catalyst for change. And what we can see now is what? And I've spoken to this before. The personal planets, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, they're moving out. They're moving away. They're moving faster. They've been, within the boundaries of Pluto, Jupiter, and Pluto, Uranus, okay, for 6 months and more. And now, they're stepping out, stepping up, stepping away. And it's not pretty in many, many circumstances. And of course, I'm not saying that every Tom, Dick, and Harry is having a miserable day or a miserable week. All right, you can put it off. But I'll tell you, the longer you wait, the longer you resist, the longer you put off, the longer you wear those old shoes, the more they fall apart. And the harder it is to walk, and the harder it is to make the change. So, seize the day. I want to read to you now. Yes, this is the 18th degree of Virgo. Venus, out of that conjunction with Mars last February, has come all the way around from Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, boom. Opposition. And an opposition, just like the full moon, can be illumination and revelation. The Sabian symbol is a Ouija board. The ability to contact deeper recesses of the unconscious psyche and sensitiveness to psychic intimations and omens. The Ouija board is to be considered here a modern device similar to many ancient instruments used for divination and prophecy. Certain states of threshold consciousness are stimulated by such a use, and what the experience produces may vary greatly in quality and in origin. The release of unconscious material has lost the explosive force pictured in the preceding symbol. That is Virgo 17 degrees, which is an erupting volcano. But it's pretty damn close. So you'll be feeling, Venus is only at this degree, okay, the exact opposition of Saturn. I gave you the date. But before that, it's a volcano. And the moon is building to this full moon. So this is the volcano nearing eruption. And when that Venus hits that Saturn, anyway. Yet at this stage, there is still no conscious and willful control over what reaches the ego consciousness. It is, at best, a stage of transition which stresses a passive openness to the unknown. The glamour of it may subtly pervert the mind of the aspirant, but in some cases, this can be the first manifestation of inner guidance. The difficulty is to correctly evaluate what or who does the guiding. All oracles, even the astrological mandala, yes, can be used as an oracle. You can ask a question, and the answer to that question, you just open up the book, and the first Sabian symbol that your eyes fall upon holds the answer to that question. You can use the Ouija board, you can use the I Ching, sticks or coins. You can use tea leaves, coffee grounds, runes, you name it. There are many, many, many tools for divination. But I tell you, there is no tool better than the inner meditation of stilling the mind and allowing personal spiritual guidance to come to us, to reveal to our conscious ego our unconscious spiritual soul intention. We must clear away Jupiter and Gemini, the busyness and the clatter of the mind. We must clear away Saturn, our old programming and conditioning from past lives and karmic and our childhood. We must be the sun in Leo, manifesting, taking the seed from its conjunction with Uranus in Taurus, my own personal values. Now, 3 months later, that sun is in Leo. I need to express my own personal, individual truth. I need to expand and grow beyond my self-imposed limitations. We accept limitations. Yeah? We accept the pot because it will support us and it will help us grow until we reach a stage of initiation or a stage of evolution where it is binding and no longer serving our expansion. You know, I hate to even take up the space with my face of that river. You know, it's like, I want you to see the cliff and the river. It's more beautiful than my face. As I continue to grow and expand, there are limitations I can no longer stand. It hurts to move on, and it hurts to remain. But I can no longer live with this ball and chain. You know, I've even heard of times or places, right, where people had to cut off their foot to get out of that ball and chain, have had to cut off their hand because it was cuffed, yes, to something that was maybe going to kill them. I mean, there is a time in our life where it is hard to let go. It is hard to cut ourselves free, to to leave home. It was hard to leave home. I remember at 17, I got my pickup truck, and I had to get out of Chicago, and I had to just get and Mom and Dad were there at the door. Of course, Dad said, "Don't call collect." I won't forget my dad's parting words. Fucking A, man. Anyway, but to drive away into the unknown. Ow, ooh, So whether you are leaving home, leaving your country, leaving your job, leaving your relationship, leaving the past, yeah, it might hurt. It probably does hurt. And so it's important to, first of all, not doubt ourselves and not fear the unknown and cling on to the past because we're afraid of hurting ourselves or other people. But to understand that cross of crucifixion as part of an initiation into maturity, into adulthood, and possibly into ultimate liberation and freedom. The road is long, with many a winding turn. Love lies bleeding here in my hand. But the sun will rise on another day. The spring and summer follow the cold, dark winter. After every death, there is a resurrection. There are lessons to be learned by going into and feeling our pain. And like I say, how long am I going here? 33 minutes? I'll never forget, I attended a lecture by Jack Schwartz on pain. And, he put a needle through his arm. And he was an expert on pain. And I actually followed some of his teachings for a while. But pain, he said, is the coagulation of energy. That, when there is a shock, or when there is a block in the river, a dam in the river, there's a buildup and a buildup and a buildup of water and weight and pressure. When there's a blood clot, an aneurysm, we have a stroke. When there is, so pain is a constellation, a consolidation, a concentration of energy that needs to be. So his method, and I have used it in actual, operations, yes, and surgery, and at the dentist, is like, when you feel pain, scatter it. Send it out your toes, send it out your fingers, send it out your ears, okay, just like, and just constantly like, don't let it build. Don't let it coagulate. Don't let it concentrate. Don't let it, so it's like, don't let it, don't dam the river. Let it flow. Reminds me of that Eric Clapton song, Let It Grow. Let it grow. Feel it blossom. Let it show. Anyway. As I continue to grow and expand, there are limitations I can no longer stand. It hurts to move on, and it hurts to remain. But I can no longer live with this ball and chain. I want to encourage you during this week, during this season. I gotta say, Jupiter is square Saturn until next April or June. April, May, or June. I mean, we're talking 9 months. Jupiter Saturn is more collective, okay? But this Venus Mars, Venus Saturn is very heartfelt and very personal. We want to be gentle with ourselves. We want to empathize with each other. Everybody is going through a painful transition right now. Everybody has pain. And everybody is working as best they know how to deal with, to manage, and to learn from their pain. So rather than blame or shame, let's deal with our pain and have compassion and forgiveness and let other people off the hook. Yeah, and like just say, okay, I may be the one, okay, stepping out of the shoes, and other people, yeah, maybe pulling me out of my shoes. Other people, yeah, other people that, I thought loved me or whatever, may, pull me out of my small little pot and dig a hole and stick me in the ground where I'm freaked out because there's no container. But in the long run, I will be able to grow and blossom more than I ever knew or expected. Let's keep the faith. Namaste, aloha, so much love. Oh my God, I'm done with the report, and obviously I think about all the things that I forgot to say. And I gotta say, Venus is love and money. Money. So, read the notes below the video. Read the newsletter that I send out. I always write these notes and write the newsletter after the report. And I talk about all the things I forgot to say. And last but not least, the Amazon. I'm announcing with this Mars-Jupiter conjunction, traveling overseas, I'm doing a retreat down in Peru on the Amazon River with the piranhas and the pink dolphins and you name it. Check it out. If you can't make it to Greece, come on down to the Amazon. It's next January. There's a monarch butterfly. Anyway, all right. More later.